With no shortage of hot topics to cover in the NHL playoffs, you're tuned and tapped right back into your daily source for hockey coverage. It's the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast. And oh me, oh my, are these Vancouver Canucks in trouble? We'll talk about that. Anze Kopitar, Avs Jets, tee up all of Friday's action on today's episode.
You're Locked On Fantasy Hockey, your daily podcast on fantasy hockey.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
We got the Friday feelings on the latest episode of the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast. And oh my goodness me, Mr. Roden, the NHL playoffs are serving up nightly enticing situations in almost every single series, whether you like it or not, Steele. This is the best time of the hockey season. Shout out to the everydayers making us your first listen every single day. Today's episode is brought to you by Monopoly Go. We admit it, we have a competitive side on this show, and we're both big fans of Monopoly Go, the mobile hit twist on the classic Monopoly. Join your friends and download Monopoly Go right now for free on the App Store or Google Play. Steele, we got to get right to it because, look, tomorrow, we're going to have a Saturday special. We're going to talk about all of Saturday's games, bets, Bruins, Leafs, everything else that we're going to cover. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about the Vancouver Canucks and Thatcher Demko. Casey DeSmith lets in the first goal in relief of Thatcher Demko. I don't know what your take is on this, but I have a pretty clear-cut one. We'll also talk about the Avs Jets Game 3. I've got a take on this Colorado Avalanche situation, and I know you have something to say about the Jets. We'll tee up that Game 3. We're going to talk a little bit about all of the action for Friday night, and obviously showing some love to Anze Kopitar and the Kings, who head into Game 3 Friday night, Steele. Back in LA, they got to be feeling themselves. So we'll get to Friday's 4-game betting board as well. But right over to you, my friend. Thatcher Demko's injury, I don't feel bad for the Vancouver Canucks. This isn't the pity party. Is it unfortunate? For sure. Are they cooked without Casey DeSmith? I'll turn it over to you because I have a pretty clear-cut feeling that they might be.
Mute button almost got me once again, but I'm back. I'm fighting the mute button. I'm fighting the sun. I'm fighting a migraine right now.
Yes, you are, Steele. And you know what, though? Before you even get there, I made a mistake right off the jump, and we're not editing anything. Shout out to your migraine, though. We lost a legend on Thursday in Bob Cole in the hockey world, and I had this here in my notes, and that's my bad for not getting it off the top 100%. Because both you and I, from the Toronto market, obviously near and dear calling Saturday games for probably most of both your and I's childhood and adolescence. Hats off to Bob Cole, one of my personal broadcasting inspirations, a voice of hockey across the country, one of the absolute gems. Rest in paradise, Bob Cole, to one of the best to ever do it in steel. One of the guys who inspired me to do this, because when I heard Bob Cole call games, and you and I are very blessed and privileged to have so many people come on here and listen to us every single day talk about hockey. Think about the millions around North America listening to Bob Cole every weekend. Shout out to a legend. The hockey world lost a good one on Thursday, so I just wanted to come out here and tip both of our caps to a legend in Mr. Bob Cole.
Absolutely love that you're doing that. Yeah, one of those guys who just has so many iconic moments, an iconic voice. Just going through social media today, you're seeing all the highlights throughout his career and what he's done. And I mean, again, for us being from Toronto, being in that market, he meant a lot to us and a lot to the people.
It's a sad day.
It is a very sad day. So, I love the fact that you give him, had to give him the shout out, had to give him, the respect that he deserves. And, it's definitely one of those days that everyone in the hockey community feels a huge loss right now. And, even though we're excited about the playoffs, it's still one of those things where it's very tough. It is very tough, but we have
trudge
to move
on
forward.
For Bob.
Yeah, we move forward, we move on, and we're always going to have him in our memories and remember all the things he's done for the game. But we continue to move on, move forward into the playoffs. We're battling right now, and I guess we'll start with the Vancouver Canucks, Thatcher Demko, and the Nashville Predators. I mean, it is kind of funny not the injury to Thatcher Demko, but it is kind of funny that the Vancouver fans out there are already throwing in the towel. They're already making the excuses. Oh,
this is why I don't feel sorry for them still.
And that's, again, and I agree with that. And I don't feel sorry for them whatsoever. Even with Thatcher Demko, we both had Nashville going in 7, I believe.
Yes,
and
we
so
did.
Now without Thatcher Demko, I feel a lot better about my pick, and it makes it a lot easier, more confident moving
Might be
forward.
time to double down, Steele.
It might be time to double down, but and then also just look at. I will say Vancouver has had some very unfortunate events when it comes to playoff hockey in the past with goaltender injuries. I mean, look at the history they've had. Currently Thatcher Demko injured in the playoffs. Before it was Jacob Markstrom injured in the playoffs. Then it was Corey Schneider injured in the playoffs. Then it was Roberto Luongo injured in the playoffs. Yeah. They've had pretty tough bouts in the postseason when it comes to goaltender injuries, and that's really hurt them in the past. But yeah, I mean, it's not just on losing Thatcher Demko. I mean, the play of Elias Pettersson has been very underwhelming and
concerning.
Not seem to be very interested in playing in this first round series. He seems to be a little bit lost out there. And even just watching some of the stuff on social media, I mean, I know this doesn't relate to the first round, but it does relate to the postseason. Everyone's out there talking about the size of Quinn Hughes. Like when you look at,
I don't know if I'm here for that conversation, by the way.
When you look at the teams that have won the Stanley Cup, and you look at their blue line, you look at their top D man, and they're an absolute beast. They're a horse to be reckoned with. And Quinn Hughes is just, he's a very small defenseman. I'm not saying that he can't get it done, but I feel like that plays a little bit of part to play in it. But that has nothing to do with the conversation, really. I just saw something online about it.
It is an intriguing thing that's coming up, though, considering how good he's going to win the Norris Trophy, and we're questioning his ability. It's like, this is what happens when you lose games and things goes off the rails, Steele. Yeah. Anyway, I think the point holds true, though. Please can finish your point, though, because I got a couple of things to say about this situation. Before we get to break, we got Avs Jets, we got Kopitar and the Kings. We had to give the shout out to Bobby Cole, so we'll try and keep everything short and sweet. My man's got a migraine. He's working in the sun. Steele, you got the SPF 40 working or what?
Hey, the eyes are covered right now, so that's all that matters to me. Hey. I can actually see the screen and I can see the camera. But I mean, yeah, I feel bad that Thatcher Demko is missing the postseason. He's missing the playoffs with his club right now. Sure. But I mean, I picked Nashville 4-3 for a reason. I picked them in 7 games for a reason. They're without Thatcher Demko. Casey's. Oh, just to throw this in there, I sent you that tweet the other day about, I forget what the account was called. I think it was Fantasy Spotlight or Fantasy Hockey. Okay. They actually put out a tweet that Casey DeSmith was better than Cam Talbot, Jake Ottinger, Stuart Skinner,
that one.
Ilya Samsonov, and there was a 5th goalie in there that I'm blanking on right now. But I mean, like,
Gorgiev? I think it was Gorgiev.
It was Gorgiev. Yeah, it was Gorgiev. And I was like, what kind of ridiculous tweet is this right now? Ridiculous. I mean, respect to the account, respect to what he does, but that was a ridiculous tweet. I mean, Casey DeSmith is not better than all 5 of those goalies. He might be better than 1, maybe, but not 5.
Let's bring it full circle here. At the end of the day, Demko's injury is also in the same knee that he missed about a month, or I think it's 5 or so weeks at the end of the season. It's in the same knee. It's not the same injury. It's looking and sounding more and more like Steele, unless they maybe perhaps go all the way to the conference final, deep series, or longer, which I don't foresee. Demko is sounding like he won't be back playing hockey this spring. So I'm going to go out there and say right now, Steele, you can't help but feel also when you have Philip Forsberg playing the way he played in Game 2, this Vancouver Canucks team is going to need Elias Pettersson to step up. They're going to need Quinn Hughes to be the sensational self that he was all season long, and he deserves the Norris Trophy. I don't know if I'm here for that conversation, by the way, Steele, about the size of him really impacting this team's ability to win. Is it an accurate point, though, that blue lines over the last number of years for Stanley Cup winners have had much more big, bruising bad boys? Sure, but I don't think we can hang what's been going on with the Vancouver Canucks just yet on Quinn Hughes. Let's see how the rest of the series shakes out. Along with the rest of today's episode, Av Jets, we got to talk about it. Kopitar and the Kings. We probably aren't going to have time to talk about the Rangers and Capitals, so why don't you just have good luck on the links this year, Washington? Friday's 4-game betting board. It's all coming up right after the break. Today's episode is brought to you by our friends at Indeed. Indeed is the hiring platform where you can attract, interview, and hire all in one place. Don't spend hours on multiple job sites looking for candidates with the right skills when you can do it all with Indeed. Find top talent fast with Indeed's suite of powerful hiring tools like matching, assessments, and virtual interviews. Indeed knows when you're growing your own business, you have to make every dollar count. That's why with Indeed, you only pay for quality applications that match your must-have job requirements. Go to Indeed.com/locked-on. That's Indeed.com/locked-on. Terms and conditions apply. Cost per application pricing not available for everybody. You need to hire. You need Indeed.
And thank you so much for making the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast your first listen every single day. Once again, hit the subscribe, the follow button, leave a 5-star review. Are you still watching on Fox Sports and ESPN, though? Have to turn down the volume all the time with all that shouting. Make the switch to Locked On Sports Today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel program for you every day to bring you the biggest and top sports stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't-miss analysis, opinions, news, streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channel app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. And once again, thank you for tuning in for our team episode, the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast with Flip Livingstone and Steele Roden. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Yes,
Continuing the playoff conversation, though.
Oh, yeah.
Of going into Game 3 now with the Winnipeg Jets and Colorado Avalanche, going into Game 3 with the LA Kings and Edmonton Oilers. Let's start with the Winnipeg Jets and Avalanche series, though.
Let's do it.
I mean, when I watched that game, and we talked about it after Game 1, we said we know that this Avalanche team has too many superstars. They're going to continue to score goals, whether it's 4, 5. Oh, look at the little Frenchie there. Oh, my goodness. I thought
you'd like this one, Steele. Sorry, this is the kind of content that's worth interrupting for. For our people not watching on YouTube, there is a 8-year-old Frenchie here that is named Hannah, and she's making a lot of noise. So we just need to interrupt our playoff content for that, Steele. Anyway, that
you gotta interrupt the episode for a French.
I'm sorry about that, because if I didn't pick her up, I'm pretty sure she was going to bark for the next end of the episode. So please continue your thought. Apologies there, my friend. Go ahead.
No worries whatsoever. We got time for Frenchies all day. You know I got a Frenchie myself,
I figured as much.
I appreciate that. But yeah, we talked about this Avalanche Jets series. We said it after Game 1. The Avalanche have too many superstars. Again, I'm not going to go through all the names. No. But you all know the names.
It's not needed.
The first game was an outlier for both Hellebuyck, for both the Avalanche. I mean, 7-6 final, 13 goals scored in Game 1. We knew that the Avalanche could go on and score 4, 5, 6 goals again in this series. We don't think, and I don't think at least, the Winnipeg Jets are capable of putting up 6, 7, maybe even 5 at that point. I've said it in the past. The Winnipeg Jets struggled to score goals in the playoffs. Again, Game 1 was it was an outlier. It wasn't it was an outlier. And Hellebuyck within 2 games has allowed 13 goals. I mean, wait, is it 13, 6 and, what was it, 6 and 5? He allowed 11 goals in 2 games so far in the postseason. And I know Gorgiev has allowed
10,
9.
Yeah, anyway.
Yeah, 6 and
4.
5. 6 and 5.
Anyway. It says goals against here. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Your point
One was an empty netter. There
you go.
But exactly. It's okay. 10
point
goals
holds true.
Connor Hellebuyck, and point holds true no matter what it is. And the Winnipeg Jets, again, we knew that they struggled to score goals in the postseason. We knew Hellebuyck was going to have to be that brick wall, the guy to take them into the second round and really, really be that guy to depend on. And so far, he hasn't lived up to really his side of the bargain.
No.
And the Jets have lived up to theirs one time in Game 1. I know we're only 2 games in, but I'm worried about this Jets team to score, to put the puck in the back of the net. And I mean, I know Gorgiev's not the best goaltender out there, but if he can just get a little bit of help, which he did get in Game 2.
Yes, he did.
I mean, that's what he got. He allowed 2 goals. I mean, he was down 2-1, but I mean, if Gorgiev just gets a little bit of help like we saw in Game 2, Avalanche win this series, no problem.
So I'm not going to disagree with a single thing there, because all of those things I would say are very accurate. Let me hit you with a few stats, because I've been ready on this one, Steele. The Colorado Avalanche had double the offensive zone time in Game 2. Double. 2-1. If you are going to allow, also, I think one of the takeaways in Game 1 for this series was the Avalanche had, I think, 43 or 44 shots on net.
46.
There you go. See, you know what? That's why we hold each other together on these numbers. 46. So there you go. And I think one of the narratives was you can't let the Colorado Avalanche get 46 shots on net again because it will catch up to you. And you mentioned the reasons why. Number 2, they want to play in the offensive zone. That is how this team is going to roll through. If you're predicting how you're predicting, I think you had Colorado in 7 and I had Jets in 7. I forget that one, but I think that's where we were at. And I'm with you on the concern for Connor Hellebuyck because I have right here at the top of my own notes, Steele, Hellebuyck gassed, ? And let me bring this up because this is where I want to round this out with this point. Before the last 2 seasons, Connor Hellebuyck had 4 straight campaigns where he saw the most shots on net in the entire NHL. We knew that was a concern for them last year. He ran out of gas. And then my last number for you, Steele, his last 6 playoff starts, 4.37 goals against, 876 save percentage, and 1 win. That's not nearly the Connor Hellebuyck that we look and recognize as our favorite fantasy goalie over the past couple of years. You and I agree there for sure. They're not good enough up front. If that goaltender isn't getting it done, Steele, and I'm not going to hang it all on him. That's not what this is. But that's what needs to be highlighted because when you have the offensive studs rolling in Colorado and bringing it like with that offensive zone time that I mentioned, I just don't see it for this Winnipeg Jets team. Do I still think this is going to be a bit of a battle? Do I give Winnipeg a shot to bounce back and counterpunch? Yes, I do. But I also, right here in my last note, where's Kyle Connor at? A couple of really big seasons. That guy needs to be much better, in my opinion.
I know the whole team has to be better. Again, game 1 was an outlier. There was 13 goals scored combined between the 2 teams, and then only 2 goals scored for the Winnipeg Jets.
And we mentioned the shots on net by Colorado.
Yeah, and Hellebuyck is just seeing a ton of rubber right now. So everyone across the Winnipeg Jets team has to be a lot better in front of Connor Hellebuyck. Connor Hellebuyck has to be a lot better. And I got to throw this out there. Another tweet that I saw earlier today. This tweet said, you can never, ever, ever throw Connor Hellebuyck in the same conversation as Carey Price. Carey Price would never allow 11 goals in 2 games in the playoffs. I had to throw that out there.
That's a whole other conversation.
It's a whole other conversation.
I don't think we had the time or the energy or the
time.
migraine space to get into that one, Steele.
No, I had to throw it out there, though, because I found it really funny. So, again, going into game 3, going Friday, I'll say this before we move on. If, it's going back to Colorado, if Colorado takes both at home, it's over. They win in 6, in my opinion. So, Winnipeg needs to get at least 1 on the road if they want any chance to win this series. But, hey, I've still got Avalanche in 7. You still got Jets in 7. We'll see what happens. Shake and bake, baby. Let's move forward to the LA Kings and Edmonton Oilers after the break. Before we get there, with also big-time bets, this episode is brought to you by Monopoly Go. We've all been there either as a player or a fan. It's halftime and the scoreboard, it's not looking so good. You're feeling low, not sure you or your team can pull out a win. That's when you dig deep, lift your head up, and say to yourself, time to get back in the game, pull off some bank heists, and take as much of your friend's money as I possibly can. That's right, the smash hit mobile game Monopoly Go lets you compete with your friends to get the most riches and the biggest empire. It's the Monopoly you love, but on your phone, anytime, with tons of new twists, including leaderboards to compare your progress to your buddies. There's so much to do, like play on countless dynamic Monopoly boards, make your friends bankrupt by smashing their landmarks with a wrecking ball, charge other players rent for your iconic properties. You can even work with your friends to crack open community chests and in tournament to get extra rewards and climb the leaderboard. So get back out there, put your game face on, and download Monopoly Go, now free on the App Store or Google Play. And thank you so much for making the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast your first listen every single day. Once again, continue to hit the subscribe button, the follow button, leave a 5-star review. We appreciate all that love and support you show us Monday through Friday, 7 o'clock in the morning. Flip over to the Edmonton Oilers, LA Kings. Game 2, go preview for Game 3. I'm going to let you take the reins on this because I actually still have to go watch the highlights from Game 2. I know Anze Kopitar. I know you want to speak about him. I'll talk about Stuart Skinner a little bit, but I'll let you take the reins on this one because I still need to go watch the highlights.
I appreciate that, Steele, and I actually have a stat for you on Stuart Skinner as well. And if Hannah keeps popping off with the barking, that's my bad. Here it is for me, though. You definitely need to check out that Adrian Kempe goal from the first
I did see
period.
that. It was special.
That one this is where I'm at with this LA Kings team because I came out and said some very bold comments. You know me and the Edmonton Oilers, Steele. I tend to say a lot of bold things when you have the two, arguably at times, two of the best players on the planet. And it's not like Connor McDavid is clearing away the best. Anyway, the Edmonton Oilers could have easily won that game. And I don't mean easily to disrespect the performance from the LA Kings. Couple of bounces, and that's what the playoffs are about. That game literally could have gone either way. However, what I saw from Anze Kopitar, and that's what I want to focus on here. The rest of the team had a great performance. Kempe, Drew Doughty. I actually went to a kegger with Drew Doughty back in Guelph during his Guelph Storm days, Steele. Him and I are basically the same age. The guy is an absolute beautician on and off the ice. We are far from best friends, but we crushed a couple
Still
of
missing a few
together.
chiclets, eh?
Pardon me?
He was still missing a few chiclets?
I'm pretty sure he had most of them at that point. However, shout out to the Guelph Storm, by the way, and the University of Guelph. But Anze Kopitar, my goodness me, the game winner was sensational, and he was all over the ice. And let me bring up his stat line, Steele. He won 58% of his draws. He threw 4 hits, 4 shots on net, 4 shots on net, a goal and 2 assists. Steele, this guy is going to be 37 years old this summer. Also, I wanted to bring this up as the final point because if this guy starts to do what Anze Kopitar has done in his career in the playoffs, this series might go a little bit differently than I expect. And this is going to translate nicely into your topic and point on Stuart Skinner because also, if he can't figure it out, I'm telling you, that experience, and that might be the one thing that McDavid and Draisaitl do not have. Winning caliber and the ability to be resilient in the postseason. And let me just end it with this. In 94 career games for Kopitar in the postseason, 80 points, 3 overtime winners, and this guy is still logging north of 20 minutes of ice time per night, Steele. You know me when I come on here and I say underrated players of this generation. So for me, a mid-30-year-old, Anze Kopitar is right up there as the most underrated clutch performer in the playoffs, and that's just a fact.
He's one of those guys that...
I'm heated right now, by the way.
He's one of and rightfully so. He's one of those guys that just continues to amaze me. And one of those guys who, again, like ages like fine wine. You think that he's going to start to slow down a little bit. I think the way you view Joe Pavelski is maybe the way I view Anze Kopitar. And I'm not saying I dislike Anze Kopitar by any means. Like you don't dislike Joe Pavelski. But when we look at him on the fantasy side of things, I really started to see Anze Kopitar starting to slow down a little bit. And I think the young guys that they brought, Adrian Kempe, Kevin Fiala, Quentin Byfield, all these guys, they've kind of rejuvenated his step a little bit. And so Anze Kopitar is really just continuing to age like fine wine, like I said. So I love
Pavelski has no cups. Kopitar has 2. And
that is very last point. Well, very true. Again, fantasy-wise. But I love everything you're talking about Anze Kopitar. Over to Stuart Skinner, though, before we get to big time bets real quickly. Again, I said this a few episodes ago. This round 1 playoffs in the NHL has been very suspicious with the goaltending. A lot of high-scoring games, and we knew this was going to be
Steele. Because when I look at these shot totals,
I'm not quite sure. Maybe there's
the shot totals are so low.
The only series that I've seen great goaltending in is the Florida Panthers, Tampa Bay Lightning. Sergei Bobrovsky and Andrei Vasilevsky are incredible. And then you know what? Throw Jeremy Swayman, but we'll talk about the Boston Bruins Leafs tomorrow. But Jeremy Swayman has to be in there as well with some great goaltending. Yeah. There's been some suspicious play in the blue paint so far, and Stuart Skinner's been one of them. I don't hate the first game. 4 goals allowed, 37 shots, only 33 saves, had an .892 save percentage. I don't mind that at all. It's the first game of the playoffs. You get the win. It's whatever. Game 2, though, another 5 goals against for him. on 26 shots, though. I mean, an 808 save percentage, 26 shots faced. You let 5 in, and it's just not good enough. I know,
good enough.
Okay, I don't blame him on the Adrian Kempe goal because that was just like incredible. That was mid-air.
And the Doughty goal, he looked sloppy on, though.
The Doughty, I did not like the Doughty goal. Again, I still have to watch the highlights. I have seen a few of the goals, but I didn't like the Drew Doughty goal because he actually like fumbled the puck somehow.
He looked lost,
And I actually thought, looking at that, I thought that was going to get called back for goaltender interference, but I guess not.
It was clean, but I agree with you.
Yeah, so for me, again, this is the problem that I've had with, the Edmonton, not Stuart Skinner. This is the problem I've had with the Edmonton Oilers when it comes to the playoffs, is I like Stuart Skinner as a goaltender. I just don't know if he can be that goalie to take them to the next round, to take them to the Stanley Cup Finals. And so far, I know it's only been 2 games, but I don't know if he's got it in him this year once again. I do have them at least getting to the Western Conference Finals, but I'm worried about Stuart Skinner.
Last point on this, and I'm going to send it right back to you for your bets because I feel like I've been talking way too much this episode. And I told you, I've been digging into this when I've been ready for today, pal. Over the last 2 postseasons, Stuart Skinner, 6-7 record, 3.81 goals against, and an .879 save percentage. And I got one more for you. He's allowed 4+ goals in 7 of his last 9 playoff starts. When you look at what you're getting from the forward group, that's just far and away not good enough. And I'm going to throw this right out there now because we know that the Edmonton Oilers, what the weakness has been. You could literally close your eyes and just say it. Yeah, the blue line has been what the blue line is, but it's been the goaltending. Far too many Mikko Koskinens, even all the way back to the Sammy Salos of the world. These guys have not had a goaltender since Grant Fuhr or Curtis Joseph. It has been so long. And I don't even know if Curtis Joseph played for the Edmonton Oilers very long. I don't think he did. I don't even know if he played for them at all. But all that matters, Neil, is if they continue to squander. No, he did. There we go. I'm back. If they continue to squander what McDavid and Draisaitl are doing, why not go look somewhere else? We're not going to go there. I just want Connor McDavid to maybe wake up and say that there's other places to go. Steal. Big time bets. I'm going off the handle here. Curtis Joseph did play for the Edmonton Oilers, so I'm feeling a lot better now. I don't know why
I can't help you there, man. I'm blanking out too.
No. Trust me, he did. He definitely played for the Edmonton Oilers. Anyway, here we go. Friday's
big time bets, baby.
Friday's bets. Hit me with all 3. Let's finish this bad boy up so you can get some rest. Ream off all 3 of yours, and I'll ream off all 3 of mine.
Look, I picked the Rangers in 4 for a reason, so that's my first pick. Rangers on the money line at -176. It's not the greatest odd. It's not the worst odd out there, but hammer the Rangers money line. The Washington Capitals did make it close in game 2, but again, I picked the sweep for a reason. Rangers money line -176. Second pick of the night, the Thatcher Demko injury is going to play a huge part. We saw it in game 2 already, and this is a very pesky, physical Preds team. Preds money line -115 is my second pick. And my lock of the night, Avalanche on the puck line at +150. They're going back to Colorado. They're going back to Ball Arena. The crowd is going to be absolutely electric. Yes. And Hellebuyck is feeling the pressure along with his team in front of him. They're going to continue to pepper pucks on net. Ooh. And that's what I see right now. That's my lock of the night, Avalanche puck line +150. I love the odd as well.
I also want to throw this out there, not like it really has anything to do with anything hockey-wise. That Denver, Colorado town is absolutely buzzing. The whole state.
Yeah, it's shaking.
You know what I'm saying, though? Along with the Nuggets, that's one of the best fan bases for all their sports, even though the Colorado Rockies are absolutely trash. We don't want to talk about the Denver Broncos. Anyway, I'm here for it because my first pick is Avs on the money line -170. Not a lot of good odd there. I actually think Winnipeg might be in trouble here, Steele. And I'm still going to say that there is more series to go. But after all of what you saw in the response in game 2, and now Colorado heads home, if they play their game, like you kind of alluded to, it's going to be very tough for the Winnipeg Jets to respond to that. And just in terms of, tit for tat, blow for blow, offensive talent against offensive talent, if Connor Hellebuyck doesn't perform. So that's enough about that. Colorado on the money line. My 2 picks next come from the same game. I'm going to say Edmonton responds because I've come on here and said far too much about Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. And then you have Zach Hyman going at the clip he's going at, Steele. He scored more goals through his first, I forget what it was, amount of games. The next guy best was Wayne Gretzky, and there's been some really good Edmonton Oilers out there. He's cooking. I'm going to say Edmonton responds because also, and I got one stat, they are 9-4 in their last 13 trips to LA. And overall, why isn't this scrolling up? I'm having a serious tough time. Like, this has been a bit of a rough ride this episode. No pun intended for Hannah. Shout out to Hannah in the back. 7-1-2, the Edmonton Oilers are over their last 10 games against LA. And who is going to lead the charge in the response? Come on now. Connor McDavid in 32 career games against the LA Kings in the regular season, 42 points. In his 18 career postseason games versus the LA Kings, he has north of 30 points. Steele? Give me Connor McDavid over 1.5 anytime points. That's my lock of the night. You know there's going to be a response from Connor McDavid because the opportunities aren't going to get any better than this year. There is no miraculous potion, Steele, where this Edmonton team runs it back next year. The time is now for Edmonton, and you know Connor McDavid is that kind of big-time player. You will see a very big game from number 97 on tonight's, 4-game board.
4-game board. I know you're hot on the Edmonton Oilers like I
hot
am.
In general.
I know you're hot on the Dallas Stars, and we're going to talk about them on tomorrow's episode as well. But thank you so much for making the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast your first listen every single day. Once again, go check out Locked On Sports Today, the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. You can also find it on the free Amazon Fire TV channel app. So again, make sure you go check it out on YouTube, subscribe to the channel and the free Amazon Fire TV channel app. Once again, thank you so much for tuning in for today's episode with Flip and I. Have a great day. Good luck with your bets out there. And we shall see you back here again tomorrow.
Peace.